Right now at 5, a protest in Washington County to push back against the development of data centers.
A lot of it's taking from nature. It's going to kill our wildlife.
Plus the latest on the Hantavirus cruise ship outbreak, why Washington state officials are investigating 2 different instances of the virus. And local faith leaders responding to a Supreme Court ruling some believe will negatively impact voting rights. In Washington County, a rally against data centers this morning. Hillsboro in particular has 18 data centers sites that are either up and running or in construction. Thanks so much for joining us here at 5. I'm John Adams. That rally is part of a greater national pushback against data centers and their impact. Our Jake Holter was at that rally and joins us from the newsroom tonight. Jake?
Yeah, John, folks gathered at a farmhouse surrounded by data centers in Hillsboro to protest both new centers and tax breaks for existing ones. A sentiment shared across the nation in this moment. Nationwide pushback against the continued construction of data centers in local communities. Hundreds rallying in Utah in opposition to a data center slated to be more than twice the size of Manhattan. Here in Hillsboro, dozens rallied in the rain to speak out against these data centers.
People need to wake up about what data centers are doing. They're increasing our electricity bills. They're taking our water. It's across the nation. And we're not happy, and people need to step up and say, no, this is not okay.
Data centers typically house computers or servers that store information like healthcare records, banking information, and cloud-based software. But the recent AI boom has led to a spike in energy-hungry data centers.
We've been asking about the effects of data centers in the area and the impacts on people, and all of that is behind a curtain that we're told we can't have, or it costs a lot of money for us to have.
Oregon State Senate District 15 candidate Myrna Munoz spoke at Saturday's rally, criticizing leadership for allowing data centers to qualify for tax breaks.
Forest Grove lost 51 teachers this year, and in Beaverton, they closed down a school. All this, they're telling us there's no money. In the meantime, that we're helping billionaires make more money, and I don't think it's fair to our community.
Munoz's opponent in the race, incumbent state senator Janine Solman, told KGW in a statement, quote, "My focus this weekend is on getting out the vote and talking with as many voters as I can. My record on this issue speaks for itself. I championed the Power Act to hold data centers accountable, and I've called for ending tax breaks for data centers statewide." Back in March, state leaders passed a 1-year moratorium on data center tax breaks effective June 6th. Hillsboro received 17 applications between then and now for said tax breaks.
We need to be looking at what these things are going to do to us, to our children, and to our children's children, because now is the time to act.
The city of Hillsboro's website says there is now a pause in accepting new data center applications. And the Hillsboro City Council is holding a work session on data centers on June 2nd. John?
Jake Holter, thanks so much for that report tonight, Jake. Developing in Washington, the state's health department is investigating 2 different cases of hantavirus. Seattle and King County officials are monitoring 3 residents who may have been exposed to cases linked to that cruise ship outbreak. One of them was on that cruise ship. The others were exposed during an international flight and were later diagnosed with hantavirus. All 3 are asymptomatic. So far, no Washington resident has been diagnosed. The other investigation is in Chelan County, but it's a different type of hantavirus that can spread by infected deer mice in the state. This type, called sin nombre hantavirus, does not spread from person to person. And just into our newsroom this evening, Hillsboro police have shut down North 1st Avenue between Northwest Harewood Street and Northeast Lincoln Avenue. They shared this picture showing a car that had crashed into a power pole. Police expect the closure to last several hours, so use an alternate route if you're heading that way. All right, let's take a live look outside right now. We've seen scattered showers across the area today as we try to dig out of that rain deficit we've seen for the month of May. Meteorologist Joe Ranieri joining us now. Joe, how are things looking heading into the evening tonight.
We'll start to see a few more showers. Yeah, speaking of digging, yeah, we're going to need the shovel if we're going to be digging out of this deficit. We're well below where we should be, but we're closing in on close to a half of an inch of rain for the entire month of May. But still, on average, John, we see close to 2.5, just over 2.5 inches of rain. But what we'll take is what we can get, and that's what we're seeing right now. A few scattered showers. Can't rule out the chance to see a little bit of some thunderstorm activity. When I rolled in earlier this afternoon, there was a little bit of some pockets of hail out there, but it was brief. But you travel over the mountain passes, that's been pretty impressive in terms of mountain snow. Across the metro area so far today, we've seen just under a tenth of an inch of rain, and we'll add to it just a little bit here the next few days. But those snow showers will continue late tonight and into early tomorrow morning. There is a winter weather advisory up in the Oregon Cascades, but looking into tomorrow, you'll be seeing dry conditions, a little bit of some areas of clouds to start off the day tomorrow, but by the afternoon, a lot of sunshine. And yeah, that winter weather advisory basically stretches from the Washington Cascades all the way down into the central Oregon Cascades, where there's already been 8 inches of snow here in the last 24 hours. Maybe another 2 to 3 inches overnight, but things will be a little bit smoother heading over the mountain passes tomorrow. I'll talk more about your full forecast in just a few minutes.
All right, Joe, thanks so much. We'll see you later in the show. We're learning more today about Friday's shooting in Wood Village. We now know the victim is a 14-year-old girl who remains in the hospital. Now, this all started around 4 yesterday afternoon along Northeast Arata Road near a bus stop. Detectives say the shooting may have started after a fight. After the shots were fired, the suspect left the scene. Detectives don't believe there is any threat to the public, but this still came as a shock to neighbors there.
Stray bullet can go anywhere. There's lots of kids around here, so my biggest worry is about the kids.
The teen is expected to survive. Detectives are still investigating and asked neighbors who haven't spoke to them to contact the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office. And an update on an investigation into a February shooting that sent a dad to the hospital. Today, Kaiser police announced that the third and presumably last shooting suspect, Anthony Taylor Manriquez, turned himself in Friday at the Marion County Jail. It's after police arrested Ethan Armenta Lagunas and Gabriel Javier on Wednesday. They ask anyone with information about the suspects to contact Kaiser police. A homicide investigation is underway in Skamania County after first responders found a mother dead at an apartment complex. They were called just after 2 yesterday to the Whitecap Apartments in Stevenson. Police say the woman had significant traumatic injuries with no sign of her children. Investigators found them with a person of interest later that evening at another apartment complex. They were detained and the children placed into protective custody. That investigation is ongoing. In our current political climate, Portland's black faith leaders are asking the question that Martin Luther King Jr. made famous: where do we go from here, community or chaos? It's the focus of this year's Black Community Summit, which wrapped up earlier today. Our Catherine Cook was there for night one.
We appreciate the leadership of the Coalition of African American Pastors.
In Northeast Portland, faith leaders united for the Black Community Summit. Their purpose? To inspire, mobilize, and respond.
As an existential threat against the black community in our nation today.
Reverend Dr. Leroy Haynes Jr. is president of the Albina Ministerial Alliance. In the 1960s, he helped register black voters in the South. So last month, when the Supreme Court ruled that creating voting districts based on race was unconstitutional, it hit hard, knowing it weakened the power of the black vote. He fears history is repeating itself, specifically the fight over the Voting Rights Act of 1965.
Many people died for the Civil Rights Act, were beaten in prison, churches were bombed.
We're just coming full circle. It's not like we've not been here before.
Bishop C.T. Wells is senior pastor of Emmanuel Church. He says while Portland may not face the same voting challenges, what happens in the South and elsewhere will impact the nation.
And I would also add that while we're on the West Coast, we can affect change in our entire nation, and recognizing that as dark as it is, God is still in charge.
It's 2026, right?
Laquita Lanford came to listen, support, and learn how she can help empower her community.
Black Portlanders, Native, have fought for many years around civil rights. And so to see something like this in recent time, it's kind of mind-blowing, you know?
Reverend Haynes says the key now is the same as it's always been, to organize peacefully.
I know the word woke is a big political correct word, but we must wake people up to a new consciousness of what is going on in the nation.
Catherine Cook, KGW News.
Meanwhile, we are just 3 days away from the Oregon primary, which means get those ballots into an official drop box, since election officials say it's too late to send them by regular mail. Be sure